Hey guys, 420dragon here, and tonight we're going to be doing a speed tutorial. So, this is for those of you who want to try out the Jeskai Familiars deck, but maybe have, and found that it's a little bit mechanically demanding, I'll say. It's mechanically demanding. You have to be able to, in some cases, click very fast to be able to kill your opponent with compulsive. To make a bunch of mana, maybe gain infinite life, depending on what the situation calls for. And so I guess this video will let you know some of the tricks and little small things to think about, and maybe just mechanical things to make the combo take a little bit quicker that I use to make sure I finish all my matches in time, because I hate timing out. I hate it. So first thing for me is settings. In terms of card display, I like to turn off the animate summoning sickness. I think it makes the game move a little bit faster. There's one less thing that's going on Magic Online, so I think that helps. Instead of this thing spinning, it's just static. It's also nice. I don't really care for the spinning thing. But what matters actually a lot more is going to be your hotkeys. So the important hotkeys for the combo, of course, just playing Magic Online fast in general, you're going to want to have the OK button hotkeyed. Probably you're going to want F6, and you're going to want to press F8 every game. F8's broken. But yeah, so the hotkeys that matter for this combo is yes. Yes is really important. You're going to have a lot of mnemonic wall triggers, and every mnemonic wall you're going to want to press yes. I also like to have my undo button nice and handy. Sometimes when you're going off, you'll accidentally click the wrong color on your treasure. If you can press undo really quickly, that's nice. So yeah, I would just make sure that no matter what you have them bound to, it's comfortable for you, and you know what they are and are ready to use them. And I think that's about it. So first we're actually going to start by looking at the deck, because the first part of comboing off is first recognizing what your combo is. So sometimes you might have two familiars out and nothing else, and you got, you know, your faithful out too, let's say, and you got a flicker over here in your graveyard, and whoa, you top deck mnemonic wall and you're at 1 life. Crazy. So you can go ahead and play mnemonic wall. You have an island in play, of course. Go ahead and get your flicker back. It's in your hand now. Then you play the flicker on the wall and the island about 1,000 times and gain a life every time. So this is actually one of the easier combos to do, since there's only one trigger coming off of the ghostly flicker. You can just click the trigger and click the flicker to get it back. But in any case, I guess that actually doesn't really apply to what I was going to say. What I was going to say is that, like, basically when you get the infinite mana combo with two familiars, the flicker and the pirates, you want to identify whether you're going to basically kill them with bolt or with compulsive. Typically I'm going to kill the opponent with bolt, though sometimes actually you can just even go for a beatdowns kill. Just maybe bounce all their stuff by looping snap with double walls. And you know, you can just beat them down with mole drifters and prosperous pirates, bounce all their stuff every turn. Anyways, let's just go ahead and actually get into a practice game. We'll just play a solitaire match. No need to have another person in the game to practice, which is kind of nice about this deck. That is really a lot of what matters. I think the deck's actually incredibly powerful, and I think a lot of the reason why it hasn't been picked up by a lot of other players is because they're intimidated by the requirements, so to speak. So let's go ahead and go to match options. No, players. Here's what we want. Solitaire. We'll hit play and go ahead and play a game with ourselves. So this is just going to be a practice, of course. There's going to be nothing trying to disrupt us. And this hand's actually pretty close to a sort of generic combo. We can play a couple just to go from a different couple spots and hopefully get to experience some of the different combos. So I might play a little sloppy here. I'm just going to try to get the combo out as fast as possible. Just going to play the familiar. Just play the bounce land. Play Praetor. That's good. I'll just go ahead and fetch. I probably should have fetched first, maybe. I could have pre-named into like compulsive. I like my play. Okay, Mole Drifter, awesome. So now we can start doing stuff. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get this going. Evoke the Drifter, and then always with Mole Drifter, put the evoke trigger on the bottom. This is just like a gameplay thing. It's just like functionally better to do this. Because we can just snap it. Oh, sorry. Typically you want to draw your 2 cards before you use your snap or ghostly flicker, just to get more information, etc. So then we have the second familiar, which is going to let us kill here. So in terms of starting the combo, you need to basically play a second familiar, and you either need 3 mana with the pirates in hand, and the flicker and mnemonic wall, and then you can go flicker like this, get some mana. Now you have 4 mana, and once you have 4 mana and mnemonic wall, with a flicker in the yard and a pirates in play, you can win the game. Well, we actually don't technically win the game yet, because I mean, well, we do since we have the Mole Drifter in hand, but like on the board, the opponent shouldn't concede yet. They should wait until we play the Mole Drifter. But once we play the Mole Drifter, the opponent is allowed to concede, because we of course have infinite draws. So as you can see, when we're going off here, I generally like to keep the stack pretty close to the graveyard, as well as the triggered abilities, actually, because especially when you're flickering double walls, you're going to be moving back and forth between the graveyard and the triggered abilities quite a bit. And I don't know, I've never played with a popped out graveyard, it's just not me, but if that's something you're comfortable with, that might be another thing to consider. I'm not really sure how that works. I like having it on the side. I think it's nice and handy. And of course, don't forget to always yield to your triggers. That's really nice. And you see I'm hitting the Alt and Y to get back with the mnemonic wall, so I can get my cursor in position, and just basically spamming it. That's another thing I wanted to talk about, is it's sort of a little mechanical thing borrowed from StarCraft. But basically, you want to, as soon as these triggers go on the stack, and you see that I'm hitting the mnemonic wall trigger first, because the pirate trigger doesn't have a target, so it'll go on the stack automatically once you put the wall on the stack. Once you put the wall trigger on the stack, the pirates will go on automatically, and that can save you an extra click, instead of like, say, going like this. I click the Prosperous Pirates trigger and I click the wall and I'm like sick on my 1 mana. But no, you have to put the wall trigger on first. Try to do that every time. Okay, I had another thing I was gonna say. Oh yeah, spamming. So basically, as soon as you put the wall trigger on, you want to be spamming Alt Y. This is gonna make it so that as soon as the wall trigger starts resolving, which is basically going to be immediately if you're auto yielded, you are getting that flicker back, putting your mouse in position, because you hit Alt Y. You don't have to have your mouse up here or anything, or in the middle of the screen. You can just take it back over here, click your flicker, click your mana. I keep misclicking, but whatever. You're allowed to misclick like a bit. Like, all your misclicks are fixable for the most part. The really bad one is getting something wrong back with flicker. I mean with wall. That can be really bad. Try really hard not to do that. Like, if you're gonna take one part of the combo slow, take that part slow. But the mana stuff, especially if you have like your Command Z fingers hot, like, that's fine. Use Command Z. It takes like maybe 2 extra seconds, but that's not too big of a deal. So yeah, you can see you can get into a nice little rhythm here. You just go, blah, you're spamming. You don't have to hit OK actually at all with this combo. You just keep doing this. You're auto yielded to all your triggers. it can be a bit annoying because actually, we can show this here. I'll try to draw a faithful, but if you have a faithful in play, you do actually have to press OK every time you cast Flicker, because the faithful trigger will resolve, and then Magic Online will ask you if you want to respond to the Flicker, even if you're auto yielded to the faithful trigger. So here, of course, we draw cards first. Flicker, same thing here with the Pirates. Mulldrifter trigger goes on for free, so if you're like drawing your whole deck or whatever, that's an easy way to do it. And then another thing that's actually just like for convenience sake is like when I'm drawing my whole deck, typically I won't repeatedly cast Flicker, simply because that leaves you with a lot of cards in hand. If you just like cast cards like Compulsive and just discard 2 lands, keeps your hand nice and reasonable, and you don't have to look at too many cards. It's nice. So yeah, I'll just cast some Compulsives. It also digs 3 deep, whereas Flicker only digs 2 deep, so you'll just find your stuff faster. It's nice to use Compulsives and Preordains especially. And then the other thing is, let's say, you know, you have to dig for Bolt, but Bolt's the very last card in your deck. How do you ever win? Okay, well, I guess you could just draw it and like play it a million times. That works, but what I was going for is that you can basically, instead of drawing your whole deck with Mulldrifter, you can use Seagate or a couple Preordains to put some cards on the bottom, give you a little bit of a buffer, and make sure that, you know, all your 3 mnemonic walls aren't the last cards in your deck, or some nonsense like that. Okay, yeah, so we were going to show the combo with a Faithful out, so let's go ahead and try and draw Faithful. I don't have another Flicker. I guess I have a Snap, which is basically another Flicker. So, like, you know, if you're ever like, oh man, this combo is really killing me right now, you can just like Flicker both your Mulldrifters and draw a million cards, and that'll probably get you whatever you're looking for. Especially if you have 2. I mean, only if you have 2 Flickers, though. And even then, no, actually, no. You're usually good. Like, once you're resolving a bunch of Flickers on your Wall and Pirates, you're usually good. Like, your opponent's not going to do anything. So I'm going to just, like, Flame Slash my own guy because I have too many cards in my hand. And, like, basically, the reason why it's annoying to have too many cards in your hand is when you have to combo, you don't want to have to click to scroll every single time you want to make a mana. That's going to add up a lot. And that's really bad. That's, like, an easy way to time out. So I'll just get some, like, it's fine to kill your own guys, especially if you're just going to kill the opponent this turn. And then so here, now every iteration, we're going to have to press OK on Ghostly Flicker, which is okay. It's very doable. It's just another thing that you basically have to spam. Right after you cast the Ghostly Flicker, you're spamming F2. You put your trigger on the stack, you're spamming Alt-Y. So yeah, that's just a good thing to get in the habit of. You just basically are spamming the whole time you're going through. You can even spam the clicks too. Just be careful. Sometimes, you know, I spam click when nothing's going on in the wrong spot and like pick a Seagate card really fast, and I get really mad. But yeah, so yeah, you just hit OK every time. Blah 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 blah. And I guess we don't really have an opponent to Compulsive out, but I think, like, I used to not think that it was actually reasonable at all for you to, like, Compulsive someone 2 games in a match, but I think it's actually pretty reasonable. It's not, like, that hard. If you practice the deck and you practice the Compulsive kill a couple times, I think you can easily do it. Yeah, you just have to, I mean, basically watch this video, learn the tips, spam a lot, get your hotkeys right. Make sure Moto is running as fast as possible. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's mostly all I have to say. Yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you win a lot of matches with Blue or Red Familiars, and I hope you never time out. I'll just go ahead and concede.